What's up guys, it's Coach Justin from Ultimate Baseball Training. Welcome back. And in a recent video, I talked about 5 of what I believe to be some of the worst old school hitting tips that cause more harm than good for hitters. If you haven't seen that video, be sure to go watch that before you watch this one. But today we're flipping the script and I want to share with you what I believe to be some of the best old school hitting tips that'll help you do more damage at the plate. So without further ado, let's jump into it. The first old school hitting tip that I really like is a basic one, but it's so important to becoming a successful hitter. Get a good ball to hit. This is something that Ted Williams talked about, arguably the greatest hitter to ever live, and I couldn't agree more. You've got to get a good ball to hit. The bottom line is good hitters consistently swing at good pitches and they have plate discipline and they're not expanding the zone and getting themselves out. Good hitters swing at good pitches. And think about this, on pitches that are strikes and pitches that are good pitches, hitting is hard enough, okay? What you're trying to do is not easy. You're trying to square up a round object, the baseball, with another round object, the baseball bat. And think about your own swing in BP, a pitch that's right over the middle of the plate, a 45-mile-an-hour pitch that's belt high. Hopefully you do a good job at squaring that up most of the time, but how many times do you hit ground balls that are outs? How many times do you pop up in the infield? How many times do you hit fly balls that are outs? So hitting is hard enough when you're swinging at good pitches, and it's even harder when you start expanding the zone and swinging at borderline pitches or swinging at pitches that are just flat out, they're not strikes, they're balls, right? Hitting is going to be much more challenging if you swing at bad pitches, and you just have to remember, you want to be your own greatest ally, not your greatest enemy. So you have to be disciplined, and you want to be aggressive. That's the next part of this, because you're in the batter's box to hit, you're in the batter's box to swing the bat, you're in the batter's box to do damage. But you've got to be aggressive to pitches that are over the white of the plate, that are strikes, and you've got to have the discipline to let the bad pitches go by. So be your greatest ally and don't be, your own greatest enemy, and know your strengths and weaknesses too. So you should always be working to improve your weaknesses. For example, if you struggle with hitting the outside pitch, that's something that you should work on, but always remember when you're in a hitter's count, when you have count leverage, maybe if it's a pitch that's not in your hot zone, maybe you kind of let that go. Maybe you're looking for something, maybe middle of the plate or middle in, because you know yourself and you know that you do damage on those pitches a little bit better. So that's step one. We can talk about other things all day long when it comes to mechanics and things like that, but you're never going to be a good hitter if you consistently swing at bad pitches. So before anything else, you've got to get a good ball to hit. The second old school hitting tip I really like is keep your eye on the ball. See it, see it, see it. You've got to watch the ball because you can't hit what you can't see. All right, it's so important, and many consider this to be, again, another very elementary tip, and the reason why is because that's the first thing you ever learn when you start swinging a baseball bat, really when you start doing anything sports related that involves, hand-eye coordination and a ball, you're taught keep your eye on the ball, watch the ball, and so many think because that's the first thing you were taught that it's sort of elementary and beneath them, but it's something you always have to be working on, because the reality is, man, we could talk all day about swing mechanics, about developing bat speed, about developing, strength in the weight room, and about your plan and approach and arriving on time and getting your bat on, playing with the pitch, all that sort of stuff. And that stuff is very, very important. But at the end of the day, if you're swinging at bad pitches like we talked about, or if you're not keeping your eye on the ball, then you're never going to consistently square it up as a hitter. So it's so important. Don't overlook the basics, because hitting is definitely not easy, but it is simple. You've got to get a good pitch to hit, and then step 2 is you've got to watch the baseball. You've got to see it out of the pitcher's hand well. You've got to watch it all the way to the hitting zone, and you got to keep your head down through contact, and then you're going to maximize your chances of success as a hitter. So that's another old school tip that I really love. Never forget that when you're hitting off the tee, when you're doing your soft toss BP, and of course in real games. And when you're struggling, always go back to, am I really watching the ball? Am I really keeping my head down through contact? Or do I have a million different thoughts running through my head? I'm thinking about other things, but I'm not necessarily mastering the basic stuff like getting a good ball to hit and keeping my eye on the ball. So watch the ball. You can't hit what you can't see. A third old school hitting tip that I really love that's so important to your success as a hitter, timing is everything. Remember this, all right, in baseball and in life, good things happen to those who are on time. Always remember that. Stamp that on your forehead, put that in the dugout, tape that up on the dugout wall. Good things happen to those who arrive on time. Timing is absolutely everything. In fact, I think that bad timing many times can cause mechanical issues in your swing and make hitting a heck of a lot harder, but good timing can actually cure a lot of those mechanical issues, and it makes hitting so much easier. So timing is absolutely everything. Again, basic stuff we're talking about here, but how good of a hitter would you be if you get a good pitch to hit, you're consistently swinging at good pitches, if you consistently do a really good job of watching the ball, and you consistently arrive on time? That's the name of the game, right? And remember that pitchers have success when they're able to disrupt a hitter's timing. So as a hitter, from our perspective, what does that mean? If they have success when they disrupt our timing, well then we don't want our timing to be disrupted. We want to be on time. We want to consistently be on time. That's going to stack the deck in our favor. So with timing, you know, every single pitcher is going to be a little bit different. For guys that throw a little bit harder, you're going to have to start everything, your load and everything. You're going to have to get everything going a little bit sooner, not quicker, not more, not a bigger leg kick, but just get everything going a little bit sooner with the guy that throws a little bit harder. With the guy that throws a little bit softer, you can afford to start that process a little bit later, all right? Always remember, I think it's great to time the fastball and adjust to the off-speed pitches, because the fastball is the hardest pitch that's going to be thrown. It's going to get here the quickest. It's going to get here faster than any off-speed pitch, and so you have to be ready for that, because if you're just ready for an off-speed pitch but he juices up a fastball, it's going to be harder for you to speed everything up and be on time. So we're timing the fastball and adjusting to off-speed, starting everything a little bit sooner with guys that throw hard, starting everything a little bit later with guys who throw a little bit softer, and then be sure that you get your front foot down on time, not early, definitely not late, but you don't want to get your front foot down, you know, super early, because that'll disrupt your timing too. That'll disrupt your rhythm and your timing and your flow as a hitter. You'll have to get everything started again. So get your front foot, you know, free and easy, a nice smooth controlled load. Keep your eye on the baseball, right? Get your front foot up early so you can make decisions on whether or not, you know, what pitch is coming out of the hand, whether or not you're swinging at that particular pitch, right? That's what you do when you load and your foot is up. So get that front foot up early and down on time. And timing is everything in baseball and in life. It's going to make your job as a hitter so much easier, I'm telling you. Here's another great old school hitting tip that I think will serve you well. Swing like you mean it. Have you ever had a coach or maybe dad jokingly say, hey, swing hard in case you hit it? I've certainly heard that before, and there's some truth to that. I think that there's a fine line between having an aggressive swing and overswinging. We don't want to overswing, swing out of our shoes, pull our head off of the ball. We don't want to do that, but you do want to swing aggressively and swing like you mean it, because at the end of the day, you have to remember, if your goal is to be a successful hitter and if you want to play this game at a high level, you're not in the batter's box, you're not at the plate to just make contact, and you're not just trying to hit the ball, and you're not just trying to put the ball in play. Our ultimate goal is we want to drive the baseball. Remember, good things happen when we hit the ball hard. So we want to drive the baseball into the gaps. We want to spray it off the wall. We want to drive the ball over the fence, hit doubles and home runs. That's our ultimate goal, right? And I think many times hitters get bogged down because they're in the batter's box. They've got too many thoughts going through their head. They're trying to be too mechanically perfect, and they're thinking about a million different things. And one of the things that gets lost in that when you get too brain heavy is actually putting a really aggressive, controlled but aggressive swing on the baseball. So always remember that. It's got to be controlled, okay? So it's a fine line here. We don't want to overswing. We want to stay balanced. We want to watch the baseball, but you've got to swing like you mean it and take a controlled, aggressive hack on good pitches and try to hit the ball hard somewhere. Remember, we're not just trying to put the ball in play or just, you know, put the ball in play or make contact. That's not our goal. We want to hit the ball hard. We want to do damage, because whether you're trying out for a team or you got college coaches looking at you, or, you know, maybe you have aspirations of playing in the big leagues one day, you know, coaches are not going to be impressed with a guy who just simply puts the ball in play and hits ground balls or makes contact. They want to see guys who do damage. That's who stands out. And major league organizations, they pay the big bucks not to punch and Judy hitters who hit the ball on the ground, but who drive the ball with authority into the gaps and over the fence. So how do you do that? One of the big things is you just got to swing like you mean it. You got to have an aggressive swing. Just remember that you're just not trying to dink the ball or put it in play or make contact. Man, you got to drive the ball with authority. You got to swing like you mean it. You'll have better bat speed that way. You'll have more power. You'll have an increase in your offensive production. And like we just talked about, you'll stand out more at tryouts or to high school coaches, college coaches, or big league organizations as well. And last but certainly not least, another great old school hitting tip, another one from Ted Williams. again, arguably the greatest hitter to ever live, so I think it's pretty important to listen to what he has to say. The best swing is slightly up. That's what he always talked about. The best swing is slightly up. Now, I won't spend too much time on this because I've covered it extensively in other videos, but let me ask you a question. Let me phrase it to you this way. If you were a betting man in a casino, would you want the odds stacked in your favor or the odds against you? I know that sounds like a silly question, right? You'd obviously want the odds as heavily in your favor as possible, right? Well, the question is, don't you want the same thing when you're at the plate, when you're hitting? Of course the answer is yes, right? And so I think we can both agree that in order to stack the odds in your favor, if your bat is on plane with the pitch for a longer period of time, the odds are going to be more in your favor than if your bat is in and out of the zone quickly and only on that plane for a very short amount of time. Makes sense, right? I think we can agree on that. And so that being said, the pitch is coming from a pitcher on an elevated mound, and the further that the baseball travels, the more that gravity is pushing that ball down to the ground, okay? So I think we can agree the ball is coming in on a slightly downward trajectory or plane. And so the best swing, in order to match that plane, counteract that for as long as possible, the best swing would be our bat traveling slightly up. It's not dumping your barrel in a huge uppercut, but it's certainly not trying to get on top, and it's not trying to swing down, okay? Swinging down, our bat is in and out of the zone. That's the odds stacked against you. Remember, if you're the betting man in the casino, that's the odds against you. A perfectly level swing, well, that's only going to be on plane with a pitch for a very short amount of time too, so that's a little bit better than swinging down, but that's still not ideal. If we want to stack the odds in our favor, we've got to counteract the plane of the pitch, and if the pitch is coming on a slightly downward angle, our bat needs to be working on a slightly upward angle. That's going to help you not have to be so perfect with your timing. So the best swing is slightly up. If it's good enough for Ted Williams, I think it's probably good enough for us too. I really hope you liked this video. If you did, please leave it a like. I'd really appreciate that. And subscribe to the channel so you never miss any of our upcoming baseball videos that we're releasing every single week, designed to get you better, help you improve your game. And I know you're gonna love the free gift that I put together for you if you're a hitter. It's called the Contact Point Checklist. You can download it 100% for free just by clicking on the link down below. This is gonna make sure your swing looks picture perfect at the point of contact, so you're ultimately gonna be able to hit the ball more consistently, and you're gonna definitely increase your bat speed and power and really get the most out of your swing. So 100% free. Go ahead and download that right now. Just click on the link below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.